Hello everyone, this is Darkon. I wanted to do a video like this for probably for at least several weeks now. I couldn't do it over the holidays or before the New Year's like originally planned with family over, as later on at the very end I'll be discussing a few more sensitive things. It's nothing that people really need to actually hear. It just kind of put things into perspective if they know a little bit about myself personally. Originally, I wanted to discuss with people how I had first discovered GamerGate originally. Ironically, originally how I first discovered GamerGate way back when, I believe it was just around E3. Or ironically, it was because of Anita Sarkeesian and John McIntosh when they spouted bullshit about, well, everything that they did at that point. You know, basically saying like how people cheering for a violent video game was disgusting and all that crap with the name tags and all that shit. I pretty much discovered GamerGate roughly around that time. I may have heard it a few times before, and I even heard of Anita Sarkeesian even way before then, when I think she was first doing the tropes against women in video games. Originally, when I saw that, I didn't actually watch it. I just thought, well, hopefully she understands that people, at least there are going to be people that are going to troll. I mean, like, there are trolls that just want to cause shit and to cause problems. It's a pure and simple fact, like, it's going to happen. Let's see. It was roughly around the time that I discovered what GamerGate was. Of course, at the same time, we also discovered people claiming GamerGate was the exact opposite. It was kind of a silly thing, but then afterwards I watched several more videos, things from both sides, different arguments and so on, as much as they could be called. And every time, it was always odd that, well, maybe not odd now, but back then I found it a bit odd that every time people were claiming that GamerGate was all these bad things, and yet every time I could not find this so-called evidence of it. They kept saying this is harassment, they are all these things, and yet every single time I could not find any evidence of it. Like, to be fair, I don't really join or judge anything based off of what a few people say or even a few YouTubers say, no matter who the hell they are. I like to find and piece together bits for myself. It's no different than what I do with video games nowadays or any movies. I'm not going to judge by what critics say. We already know that critics are pretty much full of shit most of the time. Oh, this is a great movie or this is a great game, and we find out, yeah, like, were you paid to say that? Because there's a lot of problems. Let's see, what else was there? Well, it was roughly around, again, that time that's when I discovered it. And every time, all these people are saying these bad things, and yet I found out, no, I didn't even find out about the Zoe Quinn thing. I mean, this was back in, the last E3. I didn't know anything about the Zoe Quinn thing or how even GamerGate started. And even when I found out when GamerGate started, I could still see the clear evidence, but, well, maybe like clear evidence that GamerGate was exactly what it said it was going to be. And what it still is. It was for these ethics. It just seemed so incredibly insane that while I knew the media and journalists were pretty damn lazy, or they were paid, or some outright lied, I didn't realize just how rampantly bad it was. I mean, holy crap. Every time I open another page, it's either simply... The only ones I haven't really seen... sorry, I didn't really plan the whole spiel. I never really seen certain places speak too much about GamerGate, mostly because, well, I think, I'm not sure if it's 100% true. I haven't really seen anything from IGN. I know for reviews, you gotta be careful with IGN because obviously, like anyone else knows, chances are it is, most of the time, it's like paid advertisement. Which I don't mind. I mean, like, you still get great information or great stuff you can't get some other times. And if you're good, you can just piece together from the lies or the little bits and pieces from what they show you anyways. But I didn't really understand. Like, this is coming from me, someone who thinks mostly on, well, partly on logic at the very least. But yeah, I came from well, it's kind of hard to describe, so I'll give a little bit. Is that, yeah, I came from a religious background. I'm not massively religious. I guess, was it egalitarianism or spiritual or whatever else? Basically, I moved away from the whole Christian church bit for the most part. I guess the problem is when you're living with both, it's hard. It's actually, you can find a balance, but believe me, it's not easy. But yeah, every time I find these posts and these videos where people are constantly outright lying. I mean, take a look at what happened with, what was it, Brianna Wu recently? Constantly, like recently, what was it, they said, she said, he said, or however you want to put it, said that, what was it, capitalism wasn't that bad or something like that, and they tore her apart. Her own side, these SJWs, tore her apart. Or were partly, or somewhere anyways, and I thought, well, yeah, if you say something that no one else likes, or they don't like, they're going to do it. It seems like she was kind of rather surprised in that case. Of course, the funniest thing was, when I saw from, again, this was probably from the same thing, what was it, Kotaku in Action? Yeah, that was it. That's pretty much where I've seen a lot of this stuff, where people are obviously posting, and where I might likely will post this as well, since I don't know where else to put it. It was there that I seen someone talk about how, oh no, it wasn't talk about, where was I? Oh yeah. It was where someone was saying it was because of GamerGate that they held Brianna Wu in high regard for so long or something. And I was just thinking, and so were several other people, they were thinking, just how insane are you that you're blaming us for your own stupidity? I mean, I don't hold anyone accountable for their stupidity other than, well, even for my own stupidity. I don't hold anyone accountable. Like, I'm the only one held accountable. Sorry about that, I had a bit of a hiccup with the recording. As I was saying, I don't hold anyone else accountable for the stuff I do and say. It is entirely my responsibility. It is not anyone else's responsibility. It is not anyone else's fault. If I have done something wrong or have said something wrong and I know it is, I will apologize for it. I can thankful that I got that kind of attitude from my dad. Also the thing I got from my dad as well is that I will not apologize if I have not done anything wrong. It's the same thing, to me, it's the same thing as someone saying, I am responsible for you being offended or you being, like, pissed off when I didn't do or say anything wrong. It is entirely because of you at this point. Granted, if I did say something that was literally offensive, like I was meant to hurt your feelings, yeah, that would be still bad in my case, but I'm kind of mixing things up here. In any case, like I said, it's not anyone else, it's my own problems. Sorry, I did not really think any of this through. Let's just continue on. Like I said, I found out what GamerGate was. And then I wanted to dig a little deeper and find out why, basically how all of it happened. How the whole thing with the people saying the Quinspiracy or whatever crap. Kind of odd, really, because when I found out, I was like, this person apparently has a history with some of these problems, and yet everyone's just completely ignoring it. And honestly, I was perfectly fine with, feminism overall. I always knew there was going to be extremists. I mean, there's always extremists, but honestly, I didn't realize it was so rampant. Especially afterwards, what was it? When people were claiming, a bunch of Gamergate Twitter or Facebook or whatever else was a bunch of sock puppet accounts, and I found out, and people were posting their actual faces. They were saying, I am not a sock puppet, and this is really me. I am all these like different things. I am either gay, I'm trans, I'm black, I'm a minority of, any sort of minority or sexual orientation or anything else. And it really struck home to me that people were still trying to say that they were sock puppets or they didn't count. It basically told me that either these people were completely insane, like just, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty damn crazy in on itself, but these people are so insanely delusional. It was just shocking or flabbergasting. I mean, like, how do you even reason with people like this? And I realized you can't really reason with them at all. I mean, if you don't bat an eye at doxing, at, like, what the hell is it? Also, or like bullying people when they do something you don't like, even though it's not that big of a freaking deal. Or more precisely, like the thing with the Steven Universe fan art. I knew a little bit about the Steven Universe thing. I didn't know very much about it, but when I saw that, I thought, holy crap, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I mean, holy hell, this person draws a character slightly, and I do mean slightly, different than what they normally are, just so they would fit in, in the picture or in the particular art style or pose or whatever that they're doing, and people are ready to tear them apart for it. I mean, holy crap. I mean, these people purposely were trying to bully her, and I'll explain why this is such a freaking obvious, kind of a bit of a topic for me, but if I saw these people, I would have been holding back so much not to throttle them. I'm just gonna, just go over that for the moment. I'll leave that till the end, because honestly, you can probably already guess why that kind of really pisses me off. But yeah, back to the Gamergate thing. I think it was almost at the point over the time here was, I thought it almost seems like you just can't win at times. Of course, I also realized myself that you can't give up. Like, you have to keep going, and I realized that people are doing that. Like, games hold a bit of a significance a bit more significance. Again, I'm going to put that at the end so people understand. It's a whole context thing. It's easier to understand if I say it all together. And yeah, again, it's just so much. I just thought, wow, I wanted to do this before, because I thought for a second, you know what, I don't want someone else fighting my battles for me. It's just not who I am overall. It's just one of those things where if I see someone standing up to fight for me, I'll basically say, yeah, get the fuck out of the way. I can fight for myself. Not that it's that particular kind of situation, but again, yeah, I kind of want people to understand exactly how the hell I discovered the Gamergate thing, and basically why I completely support it. Granted, maybe they don't need, like, I wouldn't say don't need, but again, like, I don't know how much what I say will really hit home with anyone, or if anyone will really care all that much. But the whole point is that I myself, I just want to basically say, like, yeah, I put my full support into Gamergate. I'm just essentially, I'm not a big time person. I'm not someone known or anything else, but I feel like even people just with a small voice should basically say, like, to stand up, essentially, and basically saying that they should support what they, I'm not going to say specifically Gamergate, but in this case, yeah, support Gamergate. Like, I don't like people lying right to my face. I never have. I absolutely hate it. And yeah, people should not stand for it. I mean, like, when people are saying reviews about these games and such, and they're saying this is a problem or this is sexist, it's not. It has never been that huge of a problem. With the Dead or Alive Extreme, it is sold better in North America, and they are blatant, and these SJW people are blatantly saying it's not coming because of bad sales, which is absolute bullshit, and people know this. People know it is absolute and outright lies. And yet they keep thinking, I'm not even sure if they even think they believe it themselves at this point. Like, who makes up these articles? Like, do they freaking care? In some cases, yeah, I don't think they give a shit at all. I mean, how could you? I mean, like, you're outright lying to us and expecting us to eat it. I guess that's... I don't know. It's just... It seems like these people are just so insane. Honestly, if I had resources, talent, and or money for the stuff, I'd freaking set up my own website for shit. Like, for shit like this. Like, actual... if someone does the actual real journalism for games, yeah, I'd want to set up something like that, but honestly, I have none of those things. All I can hope is that, some people will start spreading words, and, maybe more sites that actually do give a shit will do these things. I mean, maybe not... Maybe it will be like very small time stuff, but maybe it will be something where people can actually say, yeah, I actually trust at least a bit of what they say. Hell, if I was freaking in charge, I'd be in charge of it till the day I fucking died. So I sure as hell ain't gonna let someone just suddenly decide, oh, this is problematic now. We have to change everything. And honestly, people need to really tell the developers, like, don't listen to what these SJW people say. They do not give a fuck about these games. They never give a fuck about the games. They will not play them. They literally will not play these freaking games that you're changing because of them. We don't want you to change the damn game. I understand before in some cases why some things were changed. This is because, there are some cultural differences or so on. But honestly, as someone who's played JRPGs a lot, and I've played a lot before and so on, I don't want them sending them over to the West and changing them purely because someone says, oh, this is problematic or this is sexist. I don't care what they say because they aren't gonna play it. They simply will not play these games. I know it. They sure as hell know it, and as well as everyone else knows it. I think people just need to drive it home to developers, especially out east. Or where I live, it's more like west. It's actually probably closer to go to Japan from my location, just going straight west and over the ocean. Just enough. Just tell them, like, developers basically need to say, no, you're not going to play the game, so screw you, we ain't changing shit. I think that's pretty much all I can think of to say right now. And probably I'm gonna leave it blank almost for like 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna kind of describe basically, a little bit of essentially a little bit of myself. A minor little bit here, but it's kind of drives home just how pissed off and annoyed I get at these SJW people. Screw it, that's long enough. As you should have already guessed at this point, yes, I am a male. And guess what? Surprise, I am white. Am I straight? Yes. If you suddenly decided that my opinion didn't mean shit because I am either one of those things, you are a massively racist and sexist fuck. I get pissed off every time these assholes are basically saying, like, I can't be racist or sexist because I'm not a white male. Fuck you. You can be racist and sexism by definition, not by your bullshit reasoning, by definition, is when you're judging someone purely based upon the color of their skin or by what is between their fucking legs. If you are judging me by either one of those things, you are a racist and or sexist. There is no argument. There is no possibility for an argument on this case. That is pure and simple fucking fact. And if people want to know a little bit, well, guess what? When I was growing up, pretty average, until I started to get bullied. You know why they bullied me? It was because of the fucking color of my hair, you assholes. Not that you people actually care, but, you know, for everyone else. But for everyone else, guess what? Yeah, that's the whole reason why I was bullied. For many a year. It all started because of the fucking color of my hair. If you're wondering, my color of my hair was a bright red, orange, curly hair, so naturally I was an easy target. But guess what? I unfortunately went along the lines of the don't fight back thing. Like everyone says, don't fight back, tell the teachers. If the teachers gave a fuck back then, maybe it would have actually worked, but they didn't. Only one teacher ever gave a shit, and there was only so much they could do in a school. The principals, up to pretty much almost the whole time, didn't give a shit. One of them had the fucking attitude of, if he didn't see it, it didn't happen, despite the fact that when I got picked on so bad, and this evolved from simply the hair, making fun of my hair kind of thing, to outright punching, bullying, and kicking, as well as the very painful wedgies, name calling. Have you ever had a problem with that in a fucking small town where the only one that stood up for you is your own fucking parents? Have you ever felt like that? And yet some people are going to start telling me, hey, I don't matter. Guess what? If I had white fucking male privilege back then, I wouldn't have been so emotionally and just... Do you have any fucking idea how much emotional trauma I went through during those fucking times? A lot. When you're picked on for a long time during your fucking childhood, where it got so much to the point where you were afraid to go outside just to go around for a fucking bike ride because you were afraid they were going to find you and pick on you, bug you, beat you up. Yes, I didn't have any fucking white male privilege. And the only time it ever stopped is when and this was ironic, like usually people would say, oh, don't fight back. You know what? I found the only thing that actually worked back then was me massively fighting back. And I do mean making myself look like such a crazy ass shit that they didn't want to talk to me. Unfortunately, this was the whole bit. I did realize the whole reasoning behind a lot of that stuff was because the area was also, well, when we moved, it's just trust me, it's just one giant freaking shit show. Unfortunately, stuff like that does put me at a mental trauma. It also doesn't help that I had, although back then I was adamant about denying it completely. I was essentially most of the time just saying, no, I don't have ADD, I just don't give a shit, which was actually probably both. Which is ironic that I still managed to complete school, even though the teachers for the elementary school, the solution back then was to, instead of separating us into different classes, was to put me in a room, big empty room, all by myself, and hopefully I do my homework. I kid you not, that's actually what their freaking solution was. And obviously, you can probably guess at this point, if you have been listening the whole time, then hell, you're a hell of a freaking trooper. It was also during this time that video games are pretty much what more or less saved me. Like, people will say that something saved me, but holy shit, like, if it wasn't for freaking video games, I don't know if I would have lasted that long. Well, dear here, sorry. People think, like, you should not... It's like, go outside and play. Honestly, I couldn't go outside and play during that time. Like, I was afraid to go outside during those points. I mean, the one memory I had of just going outside was I was just simply playing in the freaking yard. Someone threw an ice ball at my head. And if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, it's basically a snowball, but a solid block, but made out of ice. It hurt like hell, and this was something these kids threw at me just simply because I was playing out in the freaking front yard. Amazing, isn't it? During winter, having fun, just playing by myself because I was too afraid to go near anyone else. And that's how bad it gets to the point. I mean, hell, it even got bad to the one point where in the middle of winter, I ran outside of the classroom because no one did a damn thing about it, about people bugging me. And I just ran home. It's like something you hear from an old grandpa thing, but this was actually something I did. I left everything. My books, my backpack, my jacket. I ran home in my freaking socks. And believe me, during the middle of winter, afterwards, yeah, I was freaking cold. But during that time, I didn't care. Everything in my mind was just like I didn't want to go back. And yet, people are trying to say some people are trying to say I have white male privilege. Fuck you. I have never had white male privilege. There is no such thing as white male privilege. And you know what you're mistaking this white male privilege for? It's for the people who have the fucking money. And the people who are complaining about white male privilege, chances are they're the ones who have more money than I have ever had, and yet they're bitching about this shit. I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care about your freaking money thing. If you're saying I have white male privilege, you have to show me the fucking evidence that I have had it. Because honestly, I would have loved to have the white male privilege back then. I would have loved to have had it. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have such a shitty ass childhood. And naturally, you already know it kind of becomes hard to make friends at a certain point afterwards. And now here I am, 30 years old, doing this and still fucking friendless. Surprise! The shit that people did back then because they thought it was perfectly fine, it actually has lifelong trauma for every fucking other person. And of course, naturally, because of all that stuff, yes, surprise, I do have severe bouts of depression. You think that's fake? Well, guess fucking what? It isn't. Now, I know quite a bit about depression and just how the hell it feels. It's probably the reason why when I first heard about the Zoe Quinn Depression Quest thing, as far as I've heard of it, I've never actually played it. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, you're making this thing about depression. Do you know anything about it? And as far as I can tell, if I played the game, chances are I would have jumped into a blind fucking rage, breaking everything in sight, going completely insane. It's like something out of an extra from a freaking video game, where the person's gone so bloody insane they're half naked, shouting gibberish with some kind of food in their hand and a jar full of something in the other. Yeah, it's just one of those kind of crazy ass shit things. But yeah, and here I am at this point, basically 30 years old, talking to people on the internet doing this shit. If you've listened to this whole bit, you kind of understand exactly why video games are so important to me. I still fight with severe bouts of depression. I am literally that stereotypical of that person, that overweight, white, male, straight person, lonely person living in their parents' basement. In this case, I am not living in anyone's basement. I am renting a house. I am earning my money. But I am still pretty much I would almost say the poster boy for the stereotypical gamer. I have low self-esteem. I have all sorts of these other problems, which you can probably already guess from what I've already said anyways. And yet, I don't blame so many people for my fucking problems. I don't go out of my way to point to someone or say it is because of this group of people. I don't blame such a huge shitload of people. I know it was because of some assholes back during childhood who were talking all sorts of shit to me that partly put me where I am. Is also because of my parents' lessons I've learned, as well as video games. A huge amount, thankfully, to video games that I've learned. And, this is kind of a surprising thing. That straight white male gamer that say everyone is, that they're always saying, this is problematic, this person's sexist, and this person's against women. No, I'm not. I am not fucking against women. I am not against minorities. I am not against any fucking person based on their gender, based on their race, based on their fucking sexual orientation. I might not be any of those things, but I am not against them. Don't you dare fucking tell me I am against these people. Don't you dare start saying I have a white male privilege and I am against all these things, that I don't want them into the fucking video game thing. I will admit, the reviews for games is absolute shit. Pretty much a lot of the times. People say the media for video games, yeah, it's gone straight down to shit. But we already know that kind of crap. And I'm not against anyone being in the freaking video games. I mean, for crying out loud, I like it because it is open. Alright, for fuck's sakes, it is an open thing for people to talk about. I mean, I enjoy seeing anyone, like all sorts of different kinds of people in a freaking video game. I mean, most of the time, when I see where someone who is very flamboyant, what the hell is it? The stereotypical person of someone who is very, flamboyant, gay, or trans, or whatever else. Like, sorry if I'm mixing up these things, but, the one that wears, they wear the very bright makeup and they're a male, but, they're either gay or they're trans or something like that. I love those characters. I mean, they are some of the best characters I've seen. And this is primarily because they're so freaking happy. I mean, you see, granted, maybe it's a bit of a stereotypical thing. I mean, I just laugh because, this person's no matter what, this person always seems to, just smile. They seem to be happy. They're just, I mean, I guess people would already get the idea, but I was every time I see them, I'm I can guarantee what kind of character it's going to be. And they're usually the one that are basically saying, don't worry about it. And hell, that's perfectly fine. And hell, when I first found out about Samus or Samus, I'm not even sure how to say that anymore. When I first found out that Samus was a girl, I thought, cool. I wasn't thinking about that bullshit thing where people are saying, oh, because people got to see her in a freaking, in a bikini or whatever. I mean, back then, how many people actually knew about that full freaking thing? I mean, I sure as hell didn't. All I saw was that's a girl. I'm awesome. You didn't find out to the end. I thought that's pretty cool. And people complained yeah, it wasn't about that. I mean, it was kind of it was essentially an Easter egg. I mean, back then, how many people widely knew that the faster you complete the original Metroid, the more armor disappeared? I sure as hell didn't. Hell, I didn't even know about that until a freaking, years later when I had access to the bloody internet. Again, this is kind of absolute insanity where people are saying that, they are offended for all these people, all these minorities, all these people of different sexual orientations, and yet they are none of them. Most of the time. Granted, it's not always the time, but the vast majority of the time, they are none of those things. And yet, when these people actually do say, stop speaking for me, they put them down. Is that fair? Of course not. It's absolute bullshit. It always will be bullshit, and I will denounce that kind of bullshit. I mean, holy hell. It's just constantly happens, and let's be honest. We have to keep fighting back. If they're gonna keep spouting this bullshit, we gotta keep showing that they are lying through their teeth. Some people still don't know about Gamergate, about the whole shit show. Why? Because they just enjoy playing their freaking video games. As do I. I mean, I have, how many freaking games, by the point of this recording, how many games do I have that I want to play right now over recording this? I'll be honest, I do want to play more games rather than the records, because, it's, video games are still a huge part of my life. I mean, I don't really, as sad as it is, I don't have a massive amount of anything else. I mean, like I said, it is a sad thing, but that is part of my life. It is a huge thing for me. Maybe my life will change in the future. I don't know, but if people discount my opinion based on, we've already gone through that. But if people start changing the games I like and start putting this bullshit in it, I don't want that. I don't want this mass bullshit. If you want to make your games like that, you can make it yourself. But honestly, don't start saying this bullshit and don't start saying this crap. I mean, if you're gonna say something, do your proper research. We already know these people aren't gonna do it. But honestly, if anyone does hear this, do your proper research. Just, if there is an actual problem, and I'm talking about the people who actually care or are still part of it but don't understand. If there is an actual problem, calmly talk about it. Show evidence. Don't spout it because this person said or that person said. Show me the evidence. Show me the actual evidence of stuff. Don't tell me just because. Don't tell me listen and believe. Don't tell me, oh, it's because of this crap or whatever else. It is not. Just show me the evidence. I will believe you. I might even help people if they show me the evidence of an actual problem. But please, don't give me bullshit and expect me to believe it. Just don't. I have enough shit and issues in my own life. I don't want to have to deal with your bullshit issues, your fake issues, invading one of the few bright spots I still have in my whole fucking life. Just, please, don't ruin something that is so fucking important for so many people. Games are simply escape from reality at times. I know that everything has to do with, everything in moderation. I know that stuff. I mean, hell, I enjoy a drink every once in a while. But please, just stop. Just don't start taking away these games anymore. Don't start trying to change them. People are saying that, yeah, you're not. But look, let's be honest, you are. You really are trying to take the games away. These games you don't play. These games you don't care about. Enjoy the games. If you do play games, enjoy the ones that you like. No game is perfect. No game's going to cater to every one of your whims. I know that because there's a lot of games that I like that I wish there were certain things changed in it. But they aren't because, for one, I just enjoy the game as it is. Just, please, for the love of God, just for the love of anything, just stop. Just stop lying. Just stop trying to change games. Just stop trying to take them away from all of us. Goodbye.